it's really crazy to see how much you can actually do in 90 days. Like you can become a completely different person. Like this was me at the start and me at the end. This was me at the start and me at the end. With my clients that you've seen earlier, it is achievable in about 90 days, depending on how severe your case is. Right, this is the full masterclass of how to clear skin and get shredded in 90 days or less. Be going over my story and 7 pillars, which is used to build the actual foundation that will also continue into the 80-20 lifestyle. Is basically how to clear your skin and have a crazy physique for the rest of your life without being too strict and too limiting overall. So starting with my story. Start of all is around 14, 15. Yeah, no, this is around 15, 16, actually, sorry. I just absolutely hated how I looked. I lived on an island for my entire life, and I didn't take my shirt off in public until I was 16, which was like 16 and a half, which was about a year after I started working out. And then I pretty much knew that I had to change. After that, after I started working out, this is me in the gym. I used to go at 5 in the morning for whatever reason. I thought it was better. It's not. But I got a taste of confidence. But even then, I was still battling insecurity. As you can see in my tan lines, I was not really taking my shirt off still. Then a year or so goes by, a little bit more for this reference picture. This is probably 2 years. But I started taking my shirt off in public. And that's when I realized that I had gone from this to this to this all on my own. And of course, I'll talk about this in other videos, but confidence does not come from just looking good. It comes from realizing that you have the capabilities to go from here to here, and that you built this entire thing because no one else could do it for you. So that kind of realization, it's built internally into you, gets programmed or smashed into your subconscious mind, which is just what controls everything. It's your natural instinct, basically. After this stage on the right, I still wasn't satisfied, right? I wanted more. I got a taste of it. I got a taste of long-term gratification, and I wanted it all. So I started to dirty bulk because I tried everything. I just could not gain weight. Tried everything. So I started with junk food. I had horrible energy, low testosterone, feeling lost. I knew once again that I had to make a change. Really. When I went from this to this, I saw a bunch of fitness influencers promoting dirty bulking. And of course for them, it's fine because they're on gear, right? It doesn't really matter if they crash their testosterone because they can't, right? But for me, someone that's natural and grown, my energy was just zero. And I really just had no more motivation at all. This was another picture of me that's a little bit before I got a little bit chonkier. After that, because of the dirty bulk, because I was eating like shit, and because I just overall was not feeling good about myself at all, is going back to the insecurity that I had when I started, which kind of took a full circle. I wanted more, got greedy, and I wanted it fast. But my acne started increasing and insecurity rose again. This is kind of what it looked like right after. So right after, of course, I knew that once again, I had to make a change. So I started the carnivore lifestyle, funnily enough, after seeing some TikTok videos about it. And I tried it out for about 6 months to a year, and it was just insane. I doubled my test, over doubled my testosterone. I had just an insane amount of energy. My skin started to clear up. Overall, I followed it, and during that 6 months to a year span, of course, I'm someone that loves to do a lot of research on everything that I'm getting involved with. So I just researched the hell out of it, and that led me to actually the results of it. The results of it all, the actual proof on myself that I saw from it, led me to writing 80 pages, just not 80 pages, it is 80 pages, but the full Carnivore Cure, which is the first book that I wrote. I'm done with the second book. Honestly, I don't know what to do with it. It's more about philosophy, habits, pretty much all of the traps that I set myself in because I'd learn everything on my own. And of course, when you're doing that, you fail a lot. And of course, I don't regret any of it, but I'll talk about all of that in another video. But great book. Honestly, if you want it, you can just send me a message on Instagram and I'll send it over to you. I don't sell it anymore. But on to the next part. I tried every product for my skin, right? I'd been trying everything. I moved from Hawaii to California, and I just my skin was horrible. And nothing was working. I tried alcohols. I tried something that was really light. I tried prescriptions, even pills that the dermatologist gave me, which that actually ended up just making me have an entire body breakout or just like a horrible rash everywhere. But that wasn't fun. And even though I was doing everything right, supposedly, everything that everybody else was using, it just was not working on me. And I was extremely frustrated. I didn't even want to look in mirrors. At this point, even though I had a decent physique at this point, I was extremely unconfident just because of my skin. I mean, everything, the first thing people see when they look at you is your skin. And if you're not confident in your skin and your face, then your confidence is going to plummet regardless of everything else that you have going on. It just doesn't really matter, which is what I thought at the point anyway. And from there, I get deeply involved in myself or things that I'm trying out. So I researched everything, right? Everything involving skincare. Why does it actually happen in the first place? Why do I have acne? Why me and not everyone else? Why am I feeling so unlucky? And eventually I figured it out, right? And when I did, I just 100% stuck to it. And this is me after about, my skin cleared in a roughly amount of like 90 days. And after that, of course, it took like a full year to get rid of most of the scars. And I still have occasional pimples. It's normal, right? But overall, my skin is pretty clear. And now, this is the most confident I've been easily. Because again, I built this, right? I went from this to this without anybody else's help, besides the research papers that I read, obviously. But without anyone's help, I dug into everything on my own and figured all of this out. And now I live mostly 80-20 because once you fix it at the root, you build a strong foundation and you keep going, but you add some lenience to it, right? You need to adapt it to your lifestyle, which is what I'll get to next. But for some more proof, just saying, oh, it only worked on you, there's no way it'll actually work on me. You're right. No. Okay, this is one example. One of my clients, amazing job. Another one, not really a skin problem at all, but great transformation. And another one. But that's just for proof, right? That's just so I'm not bullshitting you. And then this is the 80-20 foundation, right? I travel, I do pretty much whatever I want while still sticking to a relatively clean diet, but it's adapted to my lifestyle, right? I'm not counting every single calorie. I'm not in the gym like 7 hours a week. I'm not going to the gym 6 days a week. Everything is adapted to my lifestyle, correct? This is me in Hawaii, Cabo, LA, Dubai, Hawaii again, and Hawaii again. But that's just for reference. That's just proving that you can do it, and this was my story. Okay. All right. Now getting into the actual 7 pillars. Okay, this is the foundation. Like I said, this is not going to be the easiest part, right? I'm not giving you something that is going to be all fucking info gurus are saying, oh, you can make just an insane amount of money on this. No, you have to put in the work, right? Just with everything else, you have to put in the work, or you're not going to see long-term results, or you're going to have some just crazy side effects from the short-term results that you get. So starting the 7 pillars, just quick overview. We're going to go over gut health, hormone balance, insulin and blood sugar, which hormones, of course, but also sleep optimization, discipline and habits, environment, which is toxin, skincare, lifestyle, and then consistency, easily the most important part about everything, diet recovery. Without consistency, you have nothing, which I'm going to make more videos on how to actually properly build habits and to make sure that you pretty much never fall off. But if you do, regression is inevitable. Just make sure that you get back on track faster than you did last time. Okay. 90-day habit building. Think of introducing a new habit like planting a seed, right? Making a simple introduction. If you, for example, if you're starting the gym, just start with a simple workout program. Look up push-pull legs. Not a great example, but look up push-pull legs and do it. It is as simple as that. The one thing that you really don't want to overcomplicate is your workout program. It really does not matter too much unless you're doing some just insane shit. All right, just look at everybody else in the gym and do what they're doing. It's as simple as that. Food, it gets a lot more complicated. Don't want to listen to most people in the US, but start with two to three foundational habits and then expand from there, right? Once you develop subconscious habits, which is the foundational habits, the simple habits that you get from the introduction, then you can start expanding it and adding more layers to it. And to make this a lot easier, you want to track your skin, sleep, and training daily. Just everything, make it automatic. 90 days is the normal time to make your habits into a subconscious habit, which is just doing it without even having to think. 30 days for a conscious habit and 90 days for a subconscious habit. Okay, first thing, sleep optimization. Easily the most important thing, one thing that I heavily neglected and it just completely fucked me over is sleep optimization. Without sleep, everything you're doing is pretty much pointless, really. I mean, don't listen to all those gurus that say, oh, you need to sleep 4 hours a day to to get in as much work as you possibly can. No, just prioritize your time better. Okay. Why does sleep matter? Recovery, habit formation, hormone balance. Habit formation is neuroplasticity. Going back to the 90-day habit, this is how you actually form the 90-day habit, is through sleep, through your REM sleep. Recovery, of course, if you're trying to build muscle, if you don't sleep, then you're not going to gain muscle. Hormonal balance, this is where everything gets repaired, right? Your cortisol is very, very low at night, your stress hormone, and you want that to peak like a rainbow, which I'll talk about earlier throughout the day. But bad sleep equals inflammation, stupid, and fat. Literally, bad inflammation, stupid, and fat. Stupid because your cognitive function is going to be at an all-time low if you get bad sleep, unless you can kind of mitigate it. Going off topic for a bit, you can mitigate it if you do pretty much just double your creatine intake, go from 10 to 20 grams if you know that you're going to get bad sleep the next day, and it can fully restore your cognitive function for the next day. Just don't do it consistently. And then inflammation, of course, if your cortisol is high while you're sleeping, you're going to have inflammation and you're not going to recover well. So everything is going to be very, very inflamed, and you're going to hold on to a lot of water, you're going to hold on to a lot of fat, just because your body's in a survival state. And fat, just like I went over. And how to optimize it. Really, really simple. Like I said, everything comes back to the 90-day habit building. Make everything super, super, super easy for you to do. If you can't do this, fine. Don't do it. Dark, cool room. It is very important. But like I said, if you, like I didn't have AC for pretty much majority of my life, and you can do other things besides it. You don't have to have a dark, cool room. It does help. And then consistent sleep size wake time. This is your, like I said, cortisol for the rainbow. Same thing with your circadian rhythm and your internal clock. When you're sleeping, every time you wake up and you get some sunlight, then your mind's like, okay, I'm awake. I should spike my cortisol and get some motivation and start getting some blood flow. And without that initial spike or without that consistent wake time, then your body's just going to be confused, and you're going to be just very, very tired and lethargic throughout the day without a consistent sleep and wake time. Now, this does differ from genetics, though. Some people, I know it doesn't really bother them if they have a completely abnormal sleep and wake time or circadian rhythm. And for other people, including myself, they are very, very dependent on their sleep and wake time. And then no scrolling at night. This is a huge, huge, huge one. If your nervous system is on alert, if you're in fight or flight, or you're just overall overstimulated, then your cortisol is still going to be high come bedtime. And come bedtime, like I said, during the rainbow, you want your cortisol to be almost at its lowest. And when you're scrolling before you go to sleep, it's going to peak, right? This is you. This is a rainbow, okay? This is in the morning. This is about middle day, and then slowly it starts to peak. If you scroll at night when you're about to go to sleep, right? This should be your, right here, this should be your wind down time. If you scroll, then your cortisol is just going to stay level around that. I don't know the exact numbers. Don't fucking whatever. But no food. Just after that, just really just please try to limit your screen time at night. At least you can read a book, write. You can even watch something occasionally. Don't get into that habit, but you do need some sort of wind down routine. Something very, very simple. If you are scrolling, if you have to be on your phone, get 2 ice packs, or just 1 ice pack. 2 minutes on your right side, 2 minutes on your left side. This does a full, pretty much, nervous system reset. Resets your vagus nervous system, which puts you into parasympathetic instead of sympathetic, which is a restful state instead of a active or just very like fight or flight or on wired state. And then no food 2 hours before bed. Your body's going to prioritize digesting food rather than recovering. So it's a simple one. No blue light at night. Just like I said with the rainbow, you want sun exposure in the morning, which will peak your cortisol spike. And then come night, you don't want that much sun exposure because your cortisol is going to start lowering and your circadian rhythm needs to be set. Interesting enough, the actual reason behind blue light affecting us so much and our sleep so much, setting our internal clock, is because supposedly we evolved from fish. And when you're underwater, what color is all of the light? Blue. No caffeine after 2 to 4. It should be just like a really simple one. And then no late night workouts. Same thing. This is pretty much all your nervous system and your cortisol, right? You don't want to spike your cortisol, or you don't want to put your nervous system in a very aware state before you're going to sleep. This is where it gets a little more complicated. Gut health. Okay. Why does gut health matter? If it's bad, you pretty much you just have low testosterone, you have low energy, you have bad acne, and you have mid gym progress, right? If it's good, it controls your inflammation, less redness, less acne. It regulates your hormones and blood sugar, balances oil production, absorbs nutrients, increases the ability for you to absorb nutrients. If you have leaky gut, which I'll get to later, then the nutrients are pretty much going through a broken garbage disposal, and your body's just flushing it out because it can't use it properly. And it houses 70% of your immune system. If you ever get sick, if you are in a very high stress state, then your immune system's pretty much likely, or pretty much like 100% likely to get attacked very easily. It's just weaker, right? It can't fend off things easier. And then connects to the brain and stress, the gut, brain, and stress response. Gut and brain are linked through the gut-brain axis. Simple as that. If your gut health is bad, then your cognition isn't going to be good too, which also is affected by the nutrients. Because your brain isn't getting fed any nutrients, then if it's not getting fed any fuel, then don't expect to think very well. Okay, so for a realistic timeline, right? It does depend person to person. Some people's gut health are not that bad, and just a couple weeks will completely fix it, and other people, you need a couple months. So this is just a general consensus, right? This is the most common one. This is most likely what I had. And I would bet that more than half of I would say like 70% of Americans have this, which is leaky gut. Basically, the broken garbage disposal, which I was talking about earlier. If your gut can't filter out or break down nutrients as it should be doing because of all the processed junk food that you're eating, then the nutrients aren't going to be used properly. Even if you're taking those multivitamins, it's not going to really do anything if you're eating like shit. Phase 1. 1 to 4 weeks for mild results. This is less energy, less redness, more energy, but relapse is easy. Like anything, when you're building a habit, relapse is going to be very, very easy. You have to make it conscious, and you have to be consciously pushing towards it every single day, unless you have someone helping you, or you are doing it actively with someone. Phase 2, 1 to 3 months for true repair. Really simple as that. I'll go over phase 1 and phase 2, which is... Okay, well, I'll go over phase 1 and phase 2 in a bit. But for a true gut reset, what do you want to do? For the first, phase 1, right, you want to do 0 pre and probiotics for 1 to 2 months, okay? This is because if your gut bacteria is off, or if your gut health is bad, right? If you put pre and probiotics into your stomach, then the bacteria itself is just going to feed more of the bad bacteria, because most likely you have more of the bad than good. So you don't want to overfeed it, which can just inflame you even more. 1 to 2 months, your gut lining will be ready for you to help it speed up the process, the recovery process. So that's when we start to go into phase 2 and introduce the pre and probiotics, which of course I'll explain later. Phase 2, how to tell if you're ready. Stable energy, skin's less reactive, reintroducing foods don't cause breakouts, sleep and recovery are more consistent. Simple as that, really. Okay. Now, explaining pre and probiotics really, really quick. Imagine you're growing something in your stomach. You're growing something, right? First, you put down the fertilizer. First you plant the seed, of course. And then you put down the fertilizer to feed that seed. That's what pre and probiotics are. Prebiotic is the fertilizer, and probiotics are the seed. Berries, potatoes, raw honey, bananas, you guys can read this. But these are food for the good bacteria, and the probiotics are the good bacteria themselves. Fermented is probiotic. Okay. Now, how do you actually go about this? Oh, I completely, oh wait, no, I didn't skip that. Never mind. How do you go about this? Prioritize whole foods. This is number one thing. You want to cut out all the bullshit, which, yeah, I'll get to that in a bit. But really, really, really simple. Do not overcomplicate this. Like I said, with everything, do not overcomplicate this. Meats, eggs, fish for your main meals, or for your main proteins. Fruits, if you want, berries, kiwi, raw honey. These are the lowest, these don't have too much sugar compared to other ones, and they are very nutrient dense compared to other fruits. And then organic sourdough is a fine option if you want. You don't have to eat it. I love it personally. White rice, it's fine. It's not going to hurt you too much. And then potatoes, they're great, but the only reason I would kind of stay away from them for the first 1-2 months is just because they're nightshade. And nightshades can irritate your gut a bit more. Your gut lining specifically. And then fermented foods, like I said before. I don't really have to go over this, but A2 kefir, kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut. This is what you introduce with phase 2, about 1-2 months in, depending on your recovery process. And then introduce with phase 1. I keep reading it wrong, sorry about that. But support gut lining, the next one. Collagen, you need 10 to 20 grams every single day of the peptide, the collagen peptides, not the collagen protein, even though it's labeled as protein, the peptides. And then bone broth. Those all help you repair your gut lining. And then cut irritants, right? No seed oils, no processed foods, no artificial sweeteners, and no excess sugar. This is only for I would do it until you can safely be reintroducing foods and all of your inflamed acne goes away. And then you can start slowly reintroducing these foods. But of course, like I'm going to get to earlier, keep it 80-20. And then moderate fiber. Stick to the food list. 50 grams, 3 weeks minimum. 50 grams for the 3 weeks minimum. What the fuck does that mean? Let me think about that real quick. $50 grams for the first 3 weeks. Okay, yeah. Sorry. You want to be in ketosis for the first 3 weeks. So keeping it below 50 grams for at least 3 weeks will give your gut a proper and adequate time to actually reset. 2 meals a day. Of course, you want to give your gut as much time as it possibly can to repair. And then fruits before and after a workout. Just because that's where you use it the most. Before, you're going to use it for energy. After, you're going to use it for recovery. Other than that, if you're snacking, then it's practically useless. Not useless, but in your case. Hormone optimization, okay. Really all the same, okay. Hormones, testosterone, everybody knows testosterone, muscle growth, confidence, drive, cortisol, breakouts, fat storage. I talked about cortisol a lot earlier, but this is really just about habits and sleep. Cortisol, bad or good? It is not bad or good. It is very, very useful. It is not something that can be completely shut off. Cortisol is good when you're doing an activity. It's not good when you're trying to sleep, and it's higher than it should be. And of course, it'll go back to all of these reasons on why it would be too high. And then, like I talked about earlier, the rainbow. Okay. Cortisol and insulin. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Insulin. Insulin basically is just like a text telling your cells, open the door, sugar's here. That's why I said do fruits after and before a workout. Before a workout, you're going to use it for energy. After, you're going to use it for repair because your muscles, or insulin spiking is going to help shuttle nutrients into your muscles. Using insulin spikes. Okay, I already kind of went over this. Hormone regulation of cutting for long periods. Increases leptin, energy is plentiful, no need to hold on to excess fat. Yeah, if you're cutting for too long, then your body's pretty much, this is why bodybuilders do refeeds. If you're cutting for too long, then your body's gonna go into a full survival state where it's gonna hold on to much fat as it possibly could. because it's like, fuck, I'm in danger. I don't want to die. I'm not having that much food, so I'm gonna save up as much as much of the long-term energy storage that I have, which is fat. So a refeed every once in a while is useful, just to tell your body that you're alright. You're gonna be alright. And pre-workout, yep, sleep. If you're a sleep time overthinker, then use serotonin and melatonin. And then, it ups your serotonin and melatonin. This is why it actually is pretty decent to eat your carbs 2 hours before you go to sleep, just because it kind of gets you a bit groggy and makes you really relax, because it's all reward based, right? We used to have to go and hunt and get food, or just pick berries and get food. After you eat a big meal, then your body's like, gonna be alright, I'm good. And then how to optimize hormones naturally. Strength training, compound lifts, progressive overload, prioritize fats, fatty meats. Yeah, pretty much the main reason why I choose red meat over anything protein, over anything chicken, is mainly because of the nutrients that you get in it. And most of the nutrients that you're going to get out of red meat is going to be from the fat. So if you're eating 93.7, then you're not getting too many nutrients. But if you're eating 80-20, then you're going to get a lot more, pretty much over double. Whole eggs, red meat, salmon, all very good. Salmon's very fatty. Fucking love salmon. Morning sunlight, set your circadian rhythm, quality sleep, deep sleep, REM. Depending on the person, you want to set a high HRV and a high restorative sleep, which if you do everything else that I mentioned in sleep, then those two numbers are going to go up. HRV is just the milliseconds in between beats while you're sleeping. So if you are sleeping and your heart rate is very fast, then most likely you're not very rested, or you're not in a calm state. You're more in a parasympathetic instead of sympathetic, or no, sympathetic instead of parasympathetic. I don't know why they named it like that. And then cold exposure, this pretty much just automatically boosts your HRV because you have more stress resilience, and it automatically will increase your HRV for the following day, which of course will give you better sleep. And then, dopamine spike, stress resilient, HRV. Hormone disruptors, plastics, BPA, phthalates. Just try to avoid microplastics as much as you possibly could. Don't drink out of plastic. Don't eat out of hot fast food that's in plastic. Don't microwave anything in plastic. Just overall, don't microwave anything. It kills all the nutrients, but pretty simple, straightforward. Processed foods, seed oils, yep. Fragrances, skincare products. Fragrances and parabens, they are both hormone disruptors, right? If you already have a pretty sensitive skin barrier, or you have a damaged skin barrier, then it's just going to affect it a bit more. And if you have very sensitive skin, then you want to stay away from both of these at all costs, which is exactly what I do, because I have horribly sensitive skin. Then chronic stress and overstimulation. Overstimulation, I'm going to make a ton of videos on everything else, including this. Drop a ton of comments. I want a bunch of questions just so I can make videos on all of them. They're not going to be full presentations like this, most likely me just yapping, which I honestly do like more, but anyways, continue. Chronic stress and overstimulation, basically if you're scrolling all day, or if you're playing video games all day, or if you're very sedentary and you don't really do much, and you're just don't be the average person you see. Like, you see those people bringing their kids to the restaurant and they just stick them with the iPad. They're fucking their kids over. Like, it's bad. It's real bad. And then overstimulation, close to sleep, like I talked before, and then blue light scrolling. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Easy changes, lift heavy 3 to 5 times per week. Swap seed oils for butter and tallow. No plastic bottles, and get sunlight within 30 minutes of waking. Sunlight and movement first thing in the morning is easily the best thing. It changed, like completely changed how I sleep, my energy throughout the day, my cognitive function, everything involving my just overall actions and happiness levels, I guess, or performative actions, I'm getting tired, formative function during the day. And then, sunlight movement first thing in the morning helps a ton. What you will notice: faster muscle gain, clearer skin, less puffiness, more drive and focus, and more confidence. Just overall, these are pretty much guaranteed if you go from not doing them to doing them. It's just, you have to be consistent. That's the only thing. If ignored, you'll still struggle with low energy, stubborn fat, low muscle, acne flare-ups, low drive, and you can't think clear. everything I struggled with before. And now I'm going to do oh, that's actually it. Okay. I'll do that. Yeah, I guess I'll do that now. Just a quick overview of everything that I just showed. 7 pillars for clear skin. 7 pillars for clear skin and shred physique. Okay? First thing we're going to talk about is gut health. Controls your inflammation and nutrient absorption. The best way to do it is animal-based staples. Meat, eggs, dairy, fish. Fermented foods support digestion, so kefir and sauerkraut. Hormone balance. You want to balance your testosterone, cortisol, and natural optimization. Muscle, drive, confidence. For testosterone. For cortisol, you have less acne, more energy if you regulate them or balance them. I don't like that term, but anyways. For the natural optimization, all you're going to do is sleep better, eat more fats, and lift heavy. Simply put, like really simply put. For insulin and blood sugar, the spikes are actually, they can be useful, but they can cause acne, more fat storage, and low energy if you don't use them right. Base meals on protein and fat if you don't want to spike your insulin too much, which in the first 3 to 5 weeks or 3 weeks to 2 months, you don't want to spike it too much because you're most likely pretty sensitive already. And then time carbs around workouts. Fruit and honey. Honey is also very good before you're going to sleep. And then sleep optimization. The night process, the night process will lead to skin repair and hormone reset. The environment does matter a lot. Dark, cool room, consistent bedtime, circadian rhythm. Pre-sleep habits, you want to cut food 2 hours before bed, reduce blue light. And then for discipline and habits, small habits lead to identity shifts in 90 days. This is very, very true. You want to track everything daily, your skin, your sleep, and your training. And consistency over motivation. That's why I put such an emphasis on making everything just as simple as you possibly could. Because if you overcomplicate it, especially before you even start, then you're just going to get analysis paralysis and you're not even going to do it in the first place. Okay, great. Now we can go into 80-20. How to actually live after. Okay, this is how to clear skin and have a crazy physique for pretty much the rest of your life. Really the rest of your life. Lifestyle integration. You don't want to regress, but your gut health is good, your hormones are good, your sleep is good, your energy is good, and your discipline is fucking locked in. You will become unrecognizable. This was the start to the finish. This was the start to the finish. You will be perceived as an fucking absolute anomaly to everyone around you. You will have just an insane amount of confidence. And this comes all with a new foundation that you built yourself and that you can tweak however you want. Now, with 80-20, it is very, very simple. Your skin barrier isn't as damaged anymore. I don't know why I fucking scribbled all over that, but your skin barrier isn't as damaged anymore. So pretty much everything you do, you don't have to worry as much. Unless you're using some absolute shit products, then you really don't have to worry about much anymore. I'm using products now. They don't have any bad things in them, but I started using new products. For physique, even if you go and you don't work out for about a month or 2 months or 6 months, say you get injured, you're out for 6 months, you're going to gain your muscle back and at a fucking just incredible rate because your mind and muscles, they remember. And something you've already done before is easier to accomplish the next time. And it will always be that way. So what I do is I eat clean, majority clean, 80% of the time. And 20% of the time, I eat whatever I want. Really, just, you can do whatever you want. Test your limits, really. Like if you're on vacation, I was on vacation for a really long time and I barely ate I really didn't cook for myself at all. I just chose the good meals, the good options at the restaurants. Every time I was at a restaurant, I chose a steak or a burger, which a burger isn't bad unless, realistically, it's not very bad unless you're in America or some Western society. And that's pretty much it. if you stay till the end and you're fucking dialed, you're ready to absolutely change your life. Just a complete overall of your life in 90 days, which is just, it's really crazy to see how much you can actually do in 90 days. Like you can become a completely different person. Like this was me at the start and me at the end. This was me at the start and me at the end. And through that, I had to figure out everything on my own. But with my clients that you've seen earlier, it is achievable in about 90 days, depending on how severe your case is. But realistically, you don't need that much time if you're being told what to do by someone who's already been through all of that shit and had to figure it out. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, if you have any questions, drop them below. I'll be happy to respond. And yeah,